everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Maxine and I like to teach people how to sew and draft patterns. I'm so excited for today's project. I'm going to show you how to make this cute two-piece. This is completely beginner friendly, so if you haven't done much sewing before, don't be scared. This is a super fun project to do and this is something that you can do really quickly.
You can easily turn this baby doll top into a dress as well if you add an extra few centimeters at the hem. It is part of a set, so make sure that you do the matching shorts as well. They are super cute. I will link the other video down below. Both these pieces are super cute and so comfortable. These shorts are just the best, and the baby doll top, as you can see, you can tie the shoulders and you can tie at the back, so it's super comfortable. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below.
So let's jump right in. So let's go over all the things that we're going to need. Thread in the appropriate color. You'll need your fabric. So I've just chosen this gingham print, so the red one. I just thought this is quite a playful print, a playful fabric to use for this. Then you'll need some scallop edging. You'll need your pins, a fabric marker. Make sure that your fabric marker is water erasable. Then you need two kinds of scissors. So you'll need your paper scissor and your fabric scissor. So I don't recommend cutting paper with your fabric scissor. I'm sure we've all been threatened before. I've never done it before, but apparently if you do it, your scissor gets blunt. So I'm not going to test that theory out, so I'll just keep them separate, paper and fabric scissor. Then we will need some tape, as we need to tape our pattern together.
Some lightweight fusing or violin.
Then you'll obviously need your sewing machine and your overlocker, your serger.
You will also need the pattern. It is free. It's on my website. I will link that down below, and you can download either the A0 version, which you'll need to get printed at the print shop, or the A4 version. The A4 version is going to be a couple of pieces that you're going to have to stick together until you eventually get a big pattern piece. Make sure that you measure the test box or the test line before cutting your pattern.
Another option, if you don't want to cut through your actual pattern page, you can just get some tracing paper like this, place it over the pattern, and then you can trace over your size.
Now you can cut your pattern out. Make sure that you cut on the dotted line, so the size that you've chosen, the corresponding dotted line. And then make sure that you knot your dots on your front top.
Make sure you have your selvages lining up like this. So this is the edge of the fabric here. So not the edge where you had the fabric cut, the other edge. They must line up like this. This is just something small that will help your garment look a little bit more professional in the end.
Make sure the fold line is placed on the fold of the fabric and that your grain line matches with the selvage of the fabric. Then you can trace off your patterns and then pin them. Then we can go ahead and cut our pieces out, and then remember where your dots were on the edge of the fabric where you've traced the dots. Just make little clips so you remember where they are.
If you don't have a fabric marker, you can also use a bar of soap. So you know when you use the soap and it gets to this point where you can't really use it, don't throw it away. You can actually use this and you can draw on fabric. So you can draw on fabric, and with water, the moment water or heat touches it, it will disappear. So keep these little pieces of soap, they're always handy.
Now we can cut the straps. We're going to cut 50 centimeters by 5 centimeters, and we need to cut 4 pieces of fabric. Then we'll cut 2 pieces of violin or interfacing for the top front pieces. You can go ahead and iron the fusing on and make sure you don't use any steam. Then we need to mark the dots back into our panel pieces.
Now we can go ahead and set up our machine. This is my favorite part of the sewing process, is to actually start sewing the garment.
We will start by sewing all the dots on the top front. So you can fold your dot, make sure your lines line up, and then we're going to start sewing from the bottom going up to that point that we have. Then when you get to the point, make sure you don't lock your stitch. Pull it out and leave enough thread so you can make a knot by hand. This is to prevent any bubbling at that point. We don't want any bubbles here by the bust point.
Now we're gonna take our back strap and just check where your shoulder strap will be, this orange line here. And we're just gonna make a little notch there, just a little cut through all 4 fabrics, just so you know where to place the shoulder strap. And we will refer back to our pattern for the top, this orange line here. Just check your corresponding line. Mine is a green one, so I'll be placing that there. And then by the green line, I will be making a little cut. And then we're gonna pin the side into each side seam.
I am so curious to see what fabrics you have chosen for your set, so please tag me on Instagram. I would love to see your creations. Anyways, back to the project. So once you've got that pinned in, you can sew each side seam on 1 centimeter, and then from there we're gonna iron the seams open. And the darts can be ironed facing the side seam.
So now we will take our back pattern, and as you can see, there's a slight point in each size. So there's that one, and there's the green point. So over here, I'm just gonna make a slight cut here in line with that point through both layers. It's just like that. Then we can grab our front piece as well, and then we're gonna sew the side seams. So we're gonna open them and place the side seams together. So 1 back, 1 front, and we're gonna sew each side seam on 1 centimeter.
So in 1956, there was a movie called The Babydoll, and the main actress, Carol Baker, popularized the style that we know today. And then a year after that, 1957, Balenciaga actually made a whole collection of baby dolls, which even further blew up, which now in the 60s, as we know, the baby doll was so popular. But it started during World War II, as there was quite a shortage of fabric, so they used it as nightwear actually. It's just so interesting to know how certain fashion trends started.
So now our side seams is overlapped and pressed towards the back. So you'll see that the back is the one that is slightly shorter than the front. The front we're gonna gather. So we're gonna start from the side seam, gather all the way to the other side seam. So we need to change to a basting stitch. So our stitch length, we're going to change to the biggest size. Some machines can go up to 7 millimeters. So just check your machine. Mine goes only up to 4.5. Change your stitch length to the biggest size. So with a basting stitch, we won't be locking our stitch. We're just going to sew right through. We're going to follow the edge of the foot to the edge of the fabric. And when I get to the other seam, I don't lock the stitch. I'm just going to pull it out and make sure that you leave some cotton at the end. Now we're going to do the exact same thing next to this stitch line. Now I'm going to follow the edge of the foot to the old stitch line. So as you can see, your stitch length is a lot bigger. So we need 2 rows like this, and now we can gather it. So now to gather the fabric, we're going to take 2 of the same thread. So I'll be taking these top 2. I'm going to hold this. While I'm holding there, I'm going to pull the fabric, and then you'll see your gathering taking place. So now we have the front gathered. Now we need to make sure that we've got the gathering even, so that the side seams fit from the top in there to there. So you can just kind of check and see that everything looks even. Just redistribute the gathering if needed, and kind of check that it fits in accordingly. So once you're happy with all of that, we're going to take the top and we're going to pin it in to the gathering. So I've got the top, the front pieces pinned into the bottom piece. Now we can go into the back. So we've got our notch over there that we've cut earlier. So as you can see there, I'm going to pin the strap in the back only up to that notch. So as you can see, there's my notch. Line that up exactly. only up to here. So we're going to start stitching from this notch all the way through up to the other notch.
When you've got the seam pinned, then you're going to sew 1 centimeter from notch to notch, and when you've sewn that, you can actually go ahead and unpick that basting stitch that we've stitched earlier on the skirt. I don't recommend leaving any gathering stitches in your blouse because if it's visible, it can look a bit untidy.
So now we will check where our notch was. So over here, we're going to take the strap, so the top piece, the strap over here, separate the bottom from the top. Now we're going to clip just the strap right up to your stitching, like this. So we've made a little clip like this, and I've only clipped the top strap. So now we're going to overlock. So we're going to keep this out of the way, and then we're going to overlock the top all the way around. We'll do the same on the other side.
Make sure that you keep the strap seam out of the way, so there where we've clipped, just fold it up and keep it out of the way of the overlocker, and then you're going to overlock that waistline all the way around.
Now from where we've got the strap clipped, we want to iron the back part down, like this. So I'm going to use this as my guide. If you don't have this, that's fine. You can just use a ruler, measure just over 1 centimeter, so 1.3. So now that we've got that ironed down, we're going to stitch it down. We're going to do a top stitch. So from where the strap is open, so right here, we're going to sew 1 centimeter all the way down.
So as you can see, I'm only sewing 1 centimeter from strap to strap. Don't sew all the way around the waistline.
Cut a piece of elastic 20 centimeters long.
Then we can use a safety pin or a bodkin if you've got one, and then we're going to feed it through that channel. So as you feed it through, just pin the other edge down onto the top so it won't shoot all the way through. When the elastic is in, we can just stitch the elastic down both edges. So just do a straight edge, and then it should look something like this at the back. Now we'll take our scallop, and then we're going to pin it on the front at the top seam. So as you can see, I've got about 1 centimeter away from the edge, and I'm going to sew right in the center of the scallop. And then we're just going to use a straight stitch.
We're going to take each of our straps and we're going to fold it in half, and then we're going to sew 1 centimeter following the raw edge all the way through on all of them. So now we have all 4 straps turned inside out. Then we're going to clip a small edge there, a small edge there, and then we're going to tuck that back in. Then you should be left with something like this, and then you can just stitch the edge closed. That piece that we clipped open earlier, a strap must go in each one. So here's a notch facing down, pin that in, and then the notch in the back over here, we need another one. Then we can baste this in.
Now we're going to take our lining panel, and then we're going to iron that bottom hem up on 1 centimeter. Make sure that your darts keep facing towards the side seam.
So now we will place the lining on top of the top. Make sure your side seams match up, and then we're going to pin it all the way around.
So pin around the straps as well, all the way around the straps. We'll only leave open on the front from notch to notch. Then we're going to go ahead and sew that on 1 centimeter all the way around. Please let me know in the comments if the instructions are clear enough, or if there's some terms that I'm using that you're not quite understanding. So please just leave a comment if there's anything that you need me to explain a little bit more in detail.
So now, as you can see, the top has been sewn all the way around the strap, only up to the point where the strap and the back meets, like this. And then make sure that you don't sew in the shoulder strap in between. So now from here, we are going to top stitch the top, and then we'll clip the corners and then pull this inside out.
We'll be clipping around the curve as well here at the top.
So now we want to top stitch. We make sure that the seam faces into the lining, and then we're going to top stitch about 2 millimeters away from this edge, all the way from side seam through to the other side seam. For top stitching, we need to set our stitch length a little bit longer to 3 millimeters.
We'll top stitch on the lining, as you can see, about 2 millimeters away from that edge, and make sure that you pull the fabric flat so you don't sew any bubbles.
We're going to clip the corner over here, same this side, then we can just pull the fabric through this gap. All your corners are looking nice and crisp. If you've got a point turner, you can use that, otherwise you can just use a ruler, slide it through, and then try and push those corners out neatly. And then we can give that a press. So now this is what our top looks like. We need to close off the lining. So we're going to make sure our seams line up in the side seam, push that seam facing inwards, close it, and then place a pin.
When you get at the back where the elastic meets the top, you can clip that seam, face it up into the top, and then cover that edge with the fabric and then pin it.
So with my one hand on the inside here, I'm going to hold it, and then I'm just going to do a quick hand stitch.
Make sure to keep the seams lined up and then sew through all the layers.
The outside then and inside. We will be pulling this out in a bit, so don't worry about these too much. So now we're going to take our scallop edging, and then we want to pin it right up against this line. So I'm going to start here at the back, I'm going to fold it in, and then I'm just going to pin it all the way around the waistline. So when you've got it pinned all the way around, then you can sew it right in the middle of the scallop all the way through. So now we have this sewn in. Now we can go ahead and just pull out those basting stitches. Just make sure that you did actually catch the lining, that it didn't end up below it. So if everything looks good, that you've stitched the lining through, then you can pull out your basting.
So now the last step is just hemming it. So you can either just do a baby hem like what I'm doing here, or you can overlock and top stitch, or you can even add some scallop edging if you want. And then please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment on what you want to see next. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.